This week I've been working mostly on equipment and inventory changes, and fixing bugs in save and load. Each unit now has 2 active equipment slots that can hold weapons or other items that can be used on demand. Shields still have their own separate slot, but I might make this more generalized also to allow for other passive equipment in the future. The inventory screen now allows you to sell equipped items and view detailed descriptions of them. When crew examine dropped items, this now brings up a special version of the inventory screen that only includes that crew member and items within their reach. For now, swapping equipment during combat doesn't cost an action, but I haven't decided if it will stay that way. So far I've only added 2 new equipment items, healing gel and a temporary cloak. Healing gel is the first consumable in the game. You can only use it once and then it disappears. Cloaks, on the other hand, can only be used once per encounter, but they're recharged at the start of the next one. In the future I think I'll also add weapons and equipment with a cooldown of a few turns. All this new flexibility required a lot of changes under the hood. Instead of a current weapon field pointing to a weapon definition, there are now 2 active equipment slots that hold equipment instances. In the past, I didn't need any state for individual instances of a weapon, so I pointed to a shared definition directly, but cloaks do need individual state. Equipment instance is just a way of bundling together a shared definition object and a dictionary to hold individual state. When calling functions on the equipment instance, it passes the state dictionary to a function on the definition object, so it has full freedom to add or check whatever data it needs. I'm gradually adding more of these functions as needed to enable new functionality, like resetting state at the start of an encounter. Each slot now has its own button in the Actions UI too. These change icons depending on what's equipped, and disable when the item isn't usable, which the equipment definition can determine however it wants. For example, the healing gel won't let you use it if the unit is already at full HP, and I'll be replacing these icons with better ones in the finished game. I also had to make the AI able to use equipment. For testing purposes, I've hard-coded it to give every enemy a cloak in their second slot. Each equipment def is responsible for generating an action score for the AI based on hypothetical pawn object from the AI code. I also had to make the AI cheat less with its knowledge. The AI now acts based on the last known position of your units based on what its units can see, taking cloaking into account. However, both your crew and enemy units can gain a 6th Sense perk that allows them to see cloaked units. Whenever you can detect a cloaked unit, either your own or through the 6th Sense perk, it's drawn semi-transparent so you can tell that it's cloaked. However, there's currently a problem. Even if you're not supposed to be able to see the enemy, you can sometimes tell where they are by a hole in the movement highlights. It may be time to change the pathing system so it ignores what you can't see until you bump into it, and perhaps bumping into a cloaked enemy will undo the cloak. That's something I'll come back to later. I've also made some improvements to combat outside your ship. Movement highlights can now extend into the enemy ship, and any crew or objects outside your ship at the end of a mission get moved inside. I'd also like to talk about one of the bugs I ran into with save and load, in case any of you are following my example with RefSaver. As you may recall, RefSaver stores a mapping of IDs to objects. That means it's holding a reference to every object it assigns an ID to. If I free an object in that list, that leaves a broken reference. I shouldn't be looking up a deleted object, but I had a bug where the game tried to give XP to a long-gone unit, and somehow it didn't trigger the usual error about accessing a previously freed instance. I only caught the problem due to a failed assert. Sanity checking things with assert can be very useful for finding bugs. Meanwhile, if I don't directly free something because I rely on reference counting, RefSaver would also prevent the ref count from ever reaching 0. So for both cases, I've added a remove function to clear assignments for dead objects. I probably still have a bunch of object lifetime bugs because I mistakenly thought nodes and anything derived from them were ref counted, but they're not. Thanks again to Ulti Durkinson for pointing that out, as well as the handy monitor view in the debugger. Here you can see the number of objects in your game, so you can see if it's going up unexpectedly over time. Now that save and load is working pretty well, it's also become a useful tool for debugging other things. If I can save before something goes wrong, loading that save lets me get back to the problem scenario quickly instead of redoing every step. Next week I'll be working on part 2 of my Godot tutorial, so there probably won't be a dev vlog, but I'll also be looking into alternative approaches for the AI. The AI code in cargo defense has gotten pretty ugly and hard to debug, and it's going to be one of the most crucial things to get right to make sure there's a good difficulty curve. I'm also giving Patreon a try. You can support my game development journey and these videos at patreon.com/thoughtquake. I'll be taking suggestions from patrons for what to cover in future tutorials, as well as offering tutorial project downloads and extremely early access to cargo defense. You can also help by liking this video, spreading the word, or subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for watching.